They expected medical aid, got human warships instead. Its colonies were small, mostly research stations, scattered across the plains and high plateaus. The inhabitants were not humans. They were a species known as the Lyrani, delicate yet highly intelligent, with translucent skin that shimmered in sunlight and eyes that reflected the colors of their surroundings. Inside the central command hub of the colony, Dr. Calera adjusted her instruments and checked the readings from the outskirts of the planet. Reports of a sudden medical outbreak had reached them only hours earlier. The symptoms were unusual but not immediately fatal: fever, fatigue, and rapid cellular mutation. Nothing the Lyrani doctors could not handle in theory. Calera was a xenobiologist, one of the best in her field. Her eyes scanned the latest data streams, searching for anything the sensors might have missed. Beside her, Ambassador Rith paced nervously, his long fingers brushing over a table of holographic displays. "The humans have received our request," Rith said, his voice tense. "I hope they understand it's just medical assistance we need." Calera raised an eyebrow. The message was clear. "We said we need help with treatment protocols and supplies, not combat ships." Rith stopped and turned to her. "That's exactly my fear. Humans, they are unpredictable." Outside, the sky shifted as a faint shimmer appeared in the upper atmosphere. The Lyrani watched with awe and apprehension. Within moments, the shimmer expanded into a bright corridor of light, a hyperspace exit. And then they saw it. Ships. Massive, sleek, and unmistakably human. Warships by design, glinting in the light of the setting suns. They moved in formation, precision unmatched, engines humming softly but with a power that could shake planets. The colony had expected medics, floating medical transports, perhaps a few drones, but these were warships. Calera felt her stomach tighten. Even she, who had studied humans extensively, had never seen anything like this in person. "Rith, what are they planning?" she whispered. Rith's eyes narrowed. "I don't know, but we need to be careful." Moments later, a communication beam flickered across the sky, directly projecting a human face into the colony's main square. The human's translator was flawless, their voice calm and steady. "We are here to help," the human said, smiling faintly. "Prepare for everything." The Lyrani gasped. Some stepped back, unsure if they should kneel or run. The human's tone was gentle, but the presence of those ships above told a different story. Humans were ready for danger, even if it hadn't arrived yet. Dr. Calera shook her head, trying to process it. They brought warships for a medical call?" "Yes," Rith said grimly, "but humans are strange. Their methods often frightening at first, but I've heard they rarely fail." The humans wasted no time. Within minutes, small drones deployed from the warships, descending slowly toward the outbreak zones. They emitted soft blue lights, scanning the ground and the air, mapping the contamination zones. Calera watched in fascination as their movements were precise, almost surgical. Despite the intimidating warships above, the humans focused on the medical task first. Some of the Lyrani scientists whispered among themselves. "Why so many ships?" one asked nervously. "Is it really necessary?" Another replied, "Perhaps they expect more than an illness, something we cannot see." Calera nodded slowly. She had learned not to underestimate humans. They were always prepared for the unexpected. And there was something about the way those warships moved in perfect harmony that suggested intelligence far beyond mere engineering. Rith summoned the colony council. "Listen carefully," he said. "Do not provoke them. They have the power to protect and to destroy. But I believe they are here for our safety. We must cooperate fully." Meanwhile, the human ships continued to deploy more drones, setting up temporary medical pods and defensive shields. From orbit, Calera could see them scanning the planet in patterns that were at once meticulous and strangely artistic. It was not just about saving lives. They were preparing for threats she could not yet see. By the next hour, the first human teams landed on the surface. Unlike the warships, the humans themselves appeared ordinary in size and shape. Their suits were white with subtle blue accents, helmets transparent, revealing faces that looked surprisingly calm despite the massive weapons strapped to their backs. "Doctor." Calera met one of them at the primary outbreak zone, a young officer named Lieutenant Mara. Mara's eyes were sharp, intelligent, and unusually empathetic. "We are here to help," she said. "The outbreak is serious, but we can contain it. Your species is resilient, but some things require rapid intervention." Calera nodded. Thank you, we've never seen anything like this before. Your ships, they're intimidating, but I think I understand your strategy. You're prepared for every scenario. Mara smiled faintly. Exactly, we cannot risk lives unnecessarily, but preparedness is protection. As the humans began their work, Kalara observed their methods carefully. Drones moved like dancers across the terrain, analyzing affected areas, applying treatments, and alerting the humans of changes in real time. The humans themselves moved with calm precision, setting up mobile labs, distributing vaccines, and reinforcing shelters. Their focus was unwavering, their teamwork flawless. The Lyrani, initially fearful, began to watch in awe. They had expected medics with simple equipment. Instead, they saw humans operating like a single organism, with warships above for security, drones for monitoring, and teams on the ground providing care. As the sun disappeared completely behind the mountains, the sky of Lyris 9 lit up with the glow of human activity. The Lyrani began to understand something vital. Humans did not act recklessly. They acted decisively, with strength and intelligence, ready to face danger without hesitation. Yet, even as the humans worked, Kalara noticed a subtle tension. The ships above were not idle. Sensors swept the horizon and beyond, scanning for something unseen. The humans' calm professionalism did not hide their readiness. Kalara realized this was more than a medical mission. It was a demonstration of capability, a warning to anyone who might threaten the colony while it was vulnerable. That night, in the central command hub, Kalara and Rith reviewed the data. "They are extraordinary," she said quietly. "I expected medics, and yet this is something else entirely. These humans, they combine intelligence, precision, and power in ways we cannot fully comprehend." Rith nodded slowly. "Yes. They protect life, but they prepare for danger. That is their way." Outside, the warships hovered silently, like guardians watching over the sleeping planet. The Lyrani could not help but feel a mixture of fear and hope. Perhaps the humans were intimidating. Perhaps they were dangerous. But one thing was certain: they were here to protect. And that, Kalara realized with a quiet awe, was something no species could ever underestimate. The morning sun rose over Lyris 9 with a soft, golden glow. From the colony's high towers, the humans' warships still hovered in orbit, a silent presence that both reassured and unsettled the Lyrani. On the ground, the outbreak zones were a flurry of activity. The humans moved efficiently, their every action purposeful, as if nothing in the galaxy could surprise them. Dr. Kalara walked alongside Lieutenant Mara, watching the humans deploy new equipment. Large drones scanned affected areas with bright blue beams. Small robotic assistants carried medical supplies, distributing them to the sick with remarkable speed. Kalara noted that even the smallest details were planned: the placement of the pods, the timing of the drone rotations, and the way the humans communicated without words. "They are different," Kalara whispered to Mara, who smiled without looking up from her tablet. "Different is good," Mara said. "We adapt, we protect, we heal. That's what we do." Kalara nodded, though she struggled to reconcile what she saw with what she had expected. She had anticipated medics, simple machines, perhaps a few advanced devices. She had not expected warships, heavily armed and ready for combat, and yet here they were, working tirelessly, almost peacefully, while remaining prepared for any threat. Ambassador Rith approached them, his face a mixture of awe and concern. "I do not understand," he said, his voice low. "Why so many warships for a medical mission?" Mara glanced up. "Because threats are unpredictable, and because sometimes prevention is protection." Rith frowned. "But the outbreak is not lethal, at least not yet." Mara tilted her head slightly. "Your species is resilient, yes, but we cannot assume nothing else is out there. We prepare for everything. The outbreak might be small, but danger is never small." Kalara watched the humans interact with the Lyrani sick. They moved gently, carefully administering treatment. Their suits, though sleek and militaristic, did not intimidate those in need of care. Their calm, methodical actions seemed to reassure the sick, showing a kind of compassion that went beyond words. As the day progressed, Kalara began to notice something remarkable. The humans were teaching the Lyrani how to help themselves. Small groups of Lyrani were guided in operating medical equipment, administering treatments, and monitoring vital signs. They were learning quickly, absorbing knowledge that would have taken generations to develop. "They are training our people?" Kalara asked, stunned. "Yes," Mara said. We do not just treat, we empower. If this outbreak spreads, you must be able to respond. Calera felt a sense of pride mixed with awe. The humans were not only solving the immediate problem, they were building resilience for the future. But even as the Lyrani began to adjust to the humans' methods, unease lingered. The warships above remained vigilant, their sensors sweeping the skies and beyond. Calera could feel the tension in the air. The humans were calm, but there was an unspoken message. They were ready for more than just disease. Late in the afternoon, a distant tremor shook the ground. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, but the humans detected it instantly. Their sensors displayed a series of unusual readings. Mara's face remained calm, but her eyes sharpened. "Something is coming," she said quietly. Calera frowned. "What do you mean, the outbreak?" Mara shook her head. "No, something else, something fast, something dangerous." Within minutes, the humans mobilized. Warships adjusted their positions in orbit, forming defensive patterns. Drones rose higher into the atmosphere, scanning for anomalies. Mara and her team prepared the ground units, checking medical supplies and defensive equipment simultaneously. The Lyrani watched in a mixture of fear and fascination. This is extraordinary," Rith muttered. "They treat the sick and prepare for battle at the same time." Calera nodded, silently agreeing. Humans were unlike any species she had studied. Their capacity for multitasking was incredible, and it was not just their efficiency, it was their discipline, their calm determination. They seemed to embrace danger, not with recklessness, but with strategy and purpose. Hours later, the first signs of the approaching threat appeared. Sensors detected fast-moving objects entering the outer atmosphere. They were unlike anything the Lyrani had ever seen, sleek, predatory, and undeniably hostile. Mara's team identified them as the Zelthar, a species known in scattered legends as aggressive hunters that preyed on weaker civilizations. The Lyrani panicked. "Evacuate the colony," some cried. Others froze, unable to comprehend what was coming. Mara stepped forward, her voice calm but firm. "Do not run, stay where you are, follow our instructions, we will protect you." Calera watched in disbelief as humans coordinated the defense. Warships adjusted orbit, firing warning pulses into space to slow the Zelthar's approach. Ground units prepared emergency shelters, and medical pods were fortified to withstand attack. Every action was calculated, precise, and methodical. The first Zelthar ships broke through the outer atmosphere, moving with terrifying speed. The Lyrani expected a massacre, but instead, they witnessed human strategy in action. Warships intercepted the attackers with shields and precise firepower. Drones created interference fields, confusing the enemy sensors. Humans on the ground remained focused, treating the sick and securing civilians while the battle unfolded above. Dr. Calera felt a mixture of fear and awe. The humans were fighting, yes, but not recklessly. Every action was designed to protect life, not just destroy. She realized that humans were not defined solely by their power, they were defined by how they used it. As night fell, the first wave of the Zelthar retreated, damaged but not defeated. Mara's team worked tirelessly, repairing equipment, tending to injured humans and Lyrani alike, and analyzing the Zelthar attack patterns. "They expected to find weak prey," Mara said quietly to Calera. "They will learn quickly that humans do not surrender, and neither do those we protect." Calera nodded, understanding more than words could express. Humans were warriors, yes, but their strength was not only in weapons. Their courage, intelligence, and determination to protect others made them extraordinary. Ambassador Rith approached, visibly shaken but trying to mask his awe. "I admit I misjudged them," he said. "I thought humans were dangerous, perhaps reckless. But now I see they are not only capable, they are necessary." Calera looked up at the sky. The warships glowed faintly, like silent guardians watching over the planet. She felt a strange sense of comfort. Even in the face of unknown danger, humans were here not just to fight, but to protect, to heal, and to teach. Throughout the night, the humans continued their work. Their routines never faltered, their coordination never wavered. Calera observed, taking notes, realizing that the humans' true power was not in weapons alone, but in their ability to combine strength with compassion, strategy with care, and discipline with adaptability. By dawn, the immediate threat had passed, at least for now. The Lyrani, exhausted but inspired, began to understand the humans' methods. They had expected medics and aid. Instead, they had received something far more remarkable, humans who could fight, protect, and heal all at once. Kalara felt a surge of respect and admiration. Humanity, she realized, was a species capable of facing danger without fear, embracing responsibility without hesitation, and acting decisively when others would falter. And the Lyrani would never forget it. As the sun rose over Lyris 9, painting the colony in light and shadow, Kalara knew this was only the beginning. The humans had arrived with warships, yes, but they had also arrived with a purpose far greater than anyone could have imagined. They were not just here to treat the sick, they were here to show the galaxy the true way of humanity. The morning on Lyris 9 began with an uneasy calm. The human warships still hovered in orbit, silent sentinels against the vast emptiness of space. On the ground, the colony worked tirelessly under the guidance of the humans. Medical pods hummed softly as drones moved in patterns that were both precise and beautiful, almost like dancers weaving a choreography of care and protection. Doctor. Kalara moved among the pods, checking the progress. The outbreak was under control, thanks to the humans' swift intervention. The sick were improving, and the Lyrani were slowly regaining hope. Yet, despite the apparent calm, the humans' vigilance never wavered. Lieutenant Myra stood on a small rise overlooking the colony. Her eyes were sharp, scanning the skies with a level of awareness that unsettled even Kalara. "Something is coming," Myra said quietly, almost to herself. Kalara approached. "The Zelthar, you think they'll return?" Myra shook her head. "Worse, they are not alone. There is a larger force moving silently. Sensors detect patterns, but it is not immediate. They are patient hunters. They wait for weakness." Kalara frowned. "So we are not safe." Myra's lips curved into a faint smile. "We are as safe as we can be, but safety does not mean inaction. We prepare, we watch, and we fight if necessary." The Lyrani scientists crowded around, whispering nervously. The humans' calm demeanor was impressive, but the sheer anticipation of an unseen threat sent shivers through the colony. Dr. Kalara felt a mixture of admiration and fear. Humans were not only capable of handling immediate danger, they were anticipating threats that no one else could see. Their strategy was subtle yet powerful. By mid-morning, the first signs of the new threat became visible. Sensors detected faint movements in the upper atmosphere, shadows streaking past the curvature of the planet. They were not large, not yet, but fast, too fast for the Lyrani to see without technology. Mara addressed the humans and the Lyrani alike. "Everyone stay calm. Do not panic. Follow instructions. The humans will protect the colony. The rest of you observe, learn, and assist when possible." Kalara watched as humans moved into coordinated positions. Warships adjusted orbit, creating protective grids around the planet. Drones flew in high arcs, scanning for anything unusual. Ground units took strategic positions, combining medical readiness with defensive support. Every action was measured, controlled, and precise. "Look at them," whispered Rith to Kalara. "They fight without fear, yet they do not act recklessly. There is a method in every movement." Kalara nodded, her eyes glued to the scene. She realized something profound. Humans were not just warriors, and they were not just healers. They were strategists. Every step was calculated, every motion intentional. Hours passed with increasing tension. The shadows grew closer. Then, without warning, the first ships of the new threat appeared in orbit. The Zelthar had returned, but this time they brought reinforcements, larger and more heavily armed than before. Their sleek, jagged vessels glinted in the light of Lyris 9 suns, moving with predatory grace. Panic rippled through the colony. The Lyrani froze, unsure whether to flee or hide. But the humans remained calm, almost serene, as if they expected this moment all along. Myra gave orders with precision. Warships adjusted formation, creating barriers between the colony and the approaching threat. Drones deployed interference fields, confusing enemy sensors. Ground units readied defensive equipment, all while medical operations continued uninterrupted. Kalara watched in awe. Humans were simultaneously fighting, protecting, and healing. It was a display of coordination that no species on Lyris 9 had ever seen. "Why do they not panic?" Rith asked, voice trembling slightly. Kalara shook her head. "Because they trust in their preparation, they trust in each other. And they trust in their ability to protect life, no matter the cost." The Zelthar launched their first attack. Energy pulses streaked across space toward the humans' fleet. Explosions lit up the orbit, yet the humans responded instantly. Shields absorbed the brunt of the assault, and countermeasures disrupted the Zelthar targeting systems. One by one, the Predator ships were disabled, not destroyed, as humans preferred to neutralize threats without unnecessary casualties. Calera noticed that even in battle, the humans' priority was protection. Their warships were formidable, but their focus remained on shielding the colony and preserving life. It was a balance of strength and compassion that Calera had never witnessed before. From the ground, Mara coordinated the response. She directed drones to intercept smaller threats, assigned teams to reinforce vulnerable areas, and ensured that medical pods remained operational. Every command was efficient, clear, and calm. Hours passed as the battle raged above. The Lyrani were amazed to see the humans' adaptability. Each time the Zelthar attempted a new tactic, the humans countered it immediately, learning and adjusting without hesitation. At one point, a massive Zelthar dreadnought breached the outer defenses. Its size and speed were terrifying. The Lyrani gasped, convinced the planet would be destroyed. But the humans remained steady. Mara issued precise instructions, and the warships moved with remarkable speed and coordination. Drones created interference fields to confuse the dreadnought's sensors, while specialized energy beams targeted its propulsion systems. The ground units reinforced critical infrastructure and evacuated civilians from danger zones. Calera could hardly believe her eyes. The humans were not only defending, they were teaching the Lyrani how to survive. Every maneuver was a lesson in strategy, adaptability, and courage. By nightfall, the Zelthar dreadnought was neutralized, forced to retreat in disarray. Smaller enemy ships followed, overwhelmed by the humans' calculated defense. The sky over Lyris 9 glowed with the aftermath of battle, yet the colony remained intact. Not a single civilian had been harmed, and the outbreak continued to be treated efficiently. Rith approached Calera, his face pale but filled with newfound respect. "I do not understand. How did they do it?" Calera smiled faintly. "They did what humans always do. They protect life, fight with purpose, and never give up. That is why they are extraordinary." Myra approached the two, her expression calm but resolute. "The threat is not gone," she said. "The Zelthar will adapt, but so will we. Humanity does not wait for danger to find us. We prepare, we protect, and we act. That is our way." Calera looked up at the warships in orbit, glowing softly against the dark sky. She felt a mixture of awe and hope. Humans were more than warriors. They were guardians, teachers, and healers, all in one. For the first time, the Lyrani understood that their expectations had been too small. They had asked for medical aid and expected help in a limited sense. Instead, they had received something far greater. Humans who could face danger without fear, think with clarity under pressure, and act decisively to protect others. As the night deepened, the humans continued their work. Drones scanned the skies, medical pods operated without pause, and ground units moved silently but efficiently. Calera realized that the human strength lay not only in their technology or ships, but in their spirit, their relentless drive to protect life, no matter the odds. Rith, still shaken, spoke quietly to Calera. "Perhaps we have underestimated them. Perhaps humanity is unlike any other species we have encountered." Calera nodded. "They are, and we are fortunate they chose to help us." As dawn approached, the Zelthar threat had temporarily retreated. The human strategy had not only saved lives, but had taught the Lyrani a valuable lesson. Preparation, courage, and intelligence could overcome even the most fearsome enemies. And in the quiet moments before the sun rose fully, Calera understood something important. Humans were not only protectors, they were a force that inspired others to rise to their potential. They showed that life was worth defending, and that even the most unexpected allies could change the course of history. The Lyrani would never forget the day humanity arrived. They had expected medical aid, simple assistance, and perhaps reassurance. Instead, they received a demonstration of courage, strategy, and hope. Humanity, in its truest form, had revealed itself, and Calera knew that the coming days would test the humans and the Lyrani in ways that would define the future of the colony. But she also knew one thing with certainty. As long as humans were there, the colony had a chance to survive. And that chance was more than enough. The first rays of sunlight over Lyris 9 touched the golden plains and jagged mountains, glinting off the human warships still stationed in orbit. On the ground, the colony buzzed with activity. The humans had worked tirelessly through the night, treating the sick, fortifying defenses, and coordinating recovery efforts after the Zelthar attacks. Dr. Kylera moved through the colony, observing how humans organized the Lyrani. Medical pods now ran efficiently, each equipped with automated monitoring systems taught to the Lyrani by human instructors. Groups of young Lyrani, guided by humans, moved with precision, assisting with treatments and recording vital statistics. "They are teaching us," one Lyrani whispered, watching as humans demonstrated advanced medical procedures. "And not just the medicine, the way we work together, it is different." Kylera smiled faintly. "They are teaching more than medicine. They are teaching us to think, to plan, and to act under pressure. That is the true gift." Lieutenant Mara approached Kylera, her gaze focused on the distant horizon. "The Zelthar will return," she said quietly. "They are patient hunters. They watch, wait, and attack when they believe their prey is vulnerable. We must ensure the colony is prepared." Kylera nodded. "And you are confident we can stop them?" Mara's expression remained calm, almost serene. "Not confident, prepared. There is a difference. Confidence assumes luck. Preparedness assumes action." By mid-morning, humans had begun more intensive training with the Lyrani. They taught them to operate emergency defenses, coordinate evacuation plans, and manage medical crises. Even though the humans were warriors, they emphasized care and strategy over aggression. Dr. Kylera was fascinated by the methodical approach. Every action had a dual purpose: protect the colony and educate the Lyrani. Humans were not just defending, they were building a self-sufficient community that could withstand future threats. As the day progressed, sensors detected unusual activity in the outer atmosphere. A new wave of Zelthar ships was approaching, larger and faster than before. The humans immediately began preparations. Warships adjusted orbital positions, creating overlapping shields around the planet. Drones took higher arcs to monitor the skies and relay information to ground units. Mara issued orders with calm authority. "This is not just about defense, it is about teaching. Every movement you make, every action you take, observe the humans, learn from them. They show us what courage and strategy look like." Dr. Kylera observed as humans coordinated with precision. A group of Lyrani hesitated near a defensive drone. A human officer gently guided them, explaining the principles behind the technology, showing not just how to use it, but why it worked. Kylera realized the humans' true power was not just in their weapons or technology. It was in their ability to inspire others to rise to their potential. They combined intellect, courage, and care in a way that created strength far beyond their individual capabilities. As the Zelthar ships drew closer, the humans continued to teach. Mara deployed specialized drones that mimicked Zelthar tactics in controlled simulations. Lyrani volunteers operated the drones under human guidance, learning strategy, timing, and coordination. It was a live lesson in defense, one that would be remembered long after the threat passed. Suddenly, the Zelthar launched a direct attack. Energy beams streaked across the sky, targeting the outer perimeter of the colony. Warships intercepted with shields and countermeasures, while ground units guided civilians to reinforced shelters. Dr. Kylera watched in awe as humans remained calm. Every action was deliberate, efficient, and precise. They did not panic, even under direct attack. Mara coordinated the response from the ground, issuing orders that combined defense and education. Every Lyrani who followed the instructions learned not just survival, but strategy, observation, and courage. Hours passed as the Zelthar tested the colony's defenses. They were clever, adapting quickly to human tactics. But the humans adapted faster, adjusting shields, repositioning warships, and using drones to predict enemy movements. Lyrani volunteers were now part of the system, operating drones, relaying information, and even assisting in minor defensive actions. At one point, a massive Zelthar assault craft breached the outer defenses. Its speed and size were intimidating, enough to terrify anyone who had not been trained by the humans. But the humans responded immediately. Warships converged on the target, creating overlapping shields to protect the colony. Drones deployed interference fields to confuse the Zelthar sensors, while ground units strengthened vulnerable points. Kylera saw how humans taught by example. They showed courage under pressure, calm in the face of danger, and precision in every action. The Lyrani observed, learned, and began to mirror their behavior. Fear slowly transformed into confidence. Panic gave way to careful, deliberate action. By evening, the Zelthar assault had been repelled. The enemy ships retreated, damaged and confused by the humans' strategy. The colony was intact, and the outbreak continued to be treated effectively. The Lyrani now understood the humans' methods, not just their technology, but their philosophy. They taught that courage, intelligence, and care were stronger than fear or panic. Ambassador Rith approached Kylara, all evident in his expression. I do not understand fully, he admitted. I thought humans were dangerous, perhaps reckless, but now they are extraordinary. They fight, yes, but they teach, they guide, they protect. I have never seen anything like it, Kylara nodded. It is their way. Humans are not only warriors, they are teachers, leaders, and guardians, and when necessary, they show us what it means to protect life with every resource they have. Mara addressed the colony, her voice calm yet firm. We have defended this colony today, but remember the Zelthar are patient. They will return. Preparation, training, and vigilance are our best allies. Humanity does not wait for danger. We act, we teach, we protect. And so can you. Kylara felt a sense of pride as she observed the Lyrani. They were learning, growing, and gaining confidence under the guidance of the humans. They had asked for medical aid, and instead they had received education, strategy, and courage. Night fell over Lyris 9, and the colony was quiet, yet alert. Warships hovered above, drones patrolled the skies, and humans continued their work, combining healing with preparation, strategy with care. Dr. Kylara walked alongside Myra as they checked the final medical pods. Do you think they understand now? Kylara asked. Myra's gaze remained steady. They understand what humans value most, life, preparation, and courage. That knowledge will serve them long after we leave. Kylara nodded. She realized that the humans' greatest gift was not their strength or their weapons. It was their ability to inspire, guide, and teach others to rise above fear. As the stars appeared in the night sky, Kylara understood the full impact of the humans' presence. They had arrived with warships, yes, but more importantly, they had arrived with a philosophy, a way of thinking and acting that transformed fear into confidence, panic into preparation, and helplessness into hope. And the Lyrani would never forget it. The humans were more than warriors, more than medics. They were a force that combined intellect, courage, and care in ways that few could match. And as long as they remained, Lyris 9 had a chance, not just to survive, but to thrive. For Dr. Kylara, the lesson was clear. Humanity's true power was not in weapons alone. It was in their heart, their mind, and their unyielding determination to protect and guide others, even in the face of impossible odds. And she knew that the coming days would test both humans and Lyrani further. But she also knew that with humans leading by example, the colony could face whatever challenges lay ahead. The stars above Lyris 9 twinkled quietly, reflecting in the translucent eyes of the Lyrani. They had witnessed the arrival of humans, warriors, healers, and teachers, and they would never look at the galaxy in the same way again. Humanity had shown them the true meaning of courage. And that courage would light the path for Lyris 9, no matter what the Zelthar brought next. The morning sky over Lyris 9 was bright, the twin suns casting long shadows across the plains and mountains. The colony had recovered from the previous Zelthar assaults, thanks to the humans' teaching and protection. But the calm was fragile. Sensor readings showed that the Zelthar were returning, larger and more organized than before. This time it was clear they were not merely attacking. They intended to overwhelm. Dr. Kylara watched the humans as they prepared for the inevitable. Warships moved into perfect formation, each positioned to protect key points in the planet's orbit. Drones flew overhead in arcs, scanning for movement, creating a mesh of surveillance and defense. Ground teams moved with precise coordination, reinforcing shelters and medical pods while also setting up tactical barriers. Lieutenant Mara walked beside Kylara. Her expression was calm but focused. This is the final wave, she said. The Zelthar are testing us. They believe we can be defeated. We will show them otherwise. Kylara felt a chill. The previous attacks had been intense, but this felt larger, more dangerous. Yet there was no fear in the humans, only preparation, only confidence in their plans and each other. Ambassador Rith approached, his voice quiet. I do not know if we can survive this, he admitted. Kylara shook her head. Rith, it is not about hope alone. The humans have taught us strategy, courage, and precision. We are not defenseless. We are ready. Mara nodded. We fight not just to survive, but to protect life. That is our mission. The Zelthar will learn that humans and those we protect are not easy prey. As the Zelthar approached, the humans executed a remarkable strategy. Warships formed multiple layers of defense, with outer ships acting as decoys and interceptors, while inner ships focused on shielding the planet. Drones created interference fields, masking the colony's location and confusing Zelthar sensors. Ground units reinforced vulnerable points and coordinated evacuation for any remaining civilians. Kalara observed the action from a hilltop, feeling a mixture of fear and awe. Humans fought with incredible efficiency. Every maneuver had purpose. Every movement was part of a larger plan. They did not attack recklessly, they acted with precision, combining strength with intelligence and care. The first wave of Zelthar ships struck. Energy beams streaked across the sky toward the humans' formation. Explosions erupted, yet the human shields absorbed the impact. Countermeasures disrupted enemy targeting systems. Drones intercepted smaller ships, while ground units remained calm, following instructions perfectly. Kalara noticed something remarkable. Humans were not only protecting themselves, they were protecting the Lyrani at every turn. Even in the chaos of battle, medical teams continued to treat the sick, shielded by warships above. It was a display of bravery and discipline that left her breathless. Mara issued orders clearly and calmly. Focus on shields first, intercept small ships, keep civilians safe. Neutralize threats efficiently. The Zelthar adapted, attempting to bypass the outer defenses. Mara anticipated their moves. Warships shifted positions, creating traps that forced the enemy into predictable patterns. Drones relayed real-time data to all units, allowing humans and Lyrani to respond immediately. Kalara realized the humans' true brilliance was not just in technology or weapons, it was in coordination and teaching. Even during the battle, Lyrani volunteers operated drones, managed defensive barriers, and assisted medical teams. Humans had trained them to act under pressure, and now they were rising to the challenge. Hours passed, and the Zelthar launched their most powerful assault yet. A massive dreadnought entered the planet's atmosphere, moving with terrifying speed. Its weapons fired continuously, and smaller ships swarmed around it. The Lyrani froze, but Mara remained calm. Stay focused, follow instructions. Humanity does not surrender, and neither do those we protect. Warships converged on the dreadnought, creating overlapping shields to absorb attacks. Drones deployed interference fields, confusing enemy sensors and forcing the ship into restricted paths. Ground teams reinforced strategic points and guided civilians to safe zones. Kalara watched as humans implemented a plan that combined defense, strategy, and teaching. They did not merely fight, they demonstrated to the Lyrani how to respond, how to act with intelligence and courage. Mara's voice rang clear over the communication network. All units execute Operation Guardian, follow your training, protect the colony. Neutralize threats with precision, we act together as one. The operation was a masterpiece of coordination. Warships maneuvered with flawless timing, intercepting enemy attacks while protecting vital points. Drones disrupted enemy targeting systems, creating confusion among the Zelthar. Ground units reinforced defenses and assisted medical teams, all moving in perfect harmony. Kalara saw the dreadnought falter. Its engines were disrupted, its weapons neutralized by a combination of human shields, interference fields, and tactical maneuvers. Smaller Zelthar ships were forced to retreat. The humans had turned the tide of the battle without unnecessary destruction. Finally, after hours of intense combat, the Zelthar retreated entirely. The colony was intact. Not a single civilian had been harmed. Medical operations continued seamlessly thanks to the humans' preparation and coordination. Ambassador Rith approached Mara, his face pale but filled with admiration. I do not know how to thank you," he said. "You have saved us all." Mara shook her head. "We did what we had to do. Humanity protects life. That is our way." Dr. Kalara looked around at the Lyrani. They were tired but alive. They had seen humans in action, witnessed courage, intelligence, and strategy in ways they had never imagined. She realized that their perception of humans had changed forever. They were not merely powerful, they were guardians, teachers, and leaders. In the aftermath of the battle, humans continued to teach. Lyrani volunteers assisted in repairing damage, learning tactics, and managing medical supplies. They were now confident, capable, and inspired. The humans had not just saved the colony, they had strengthened it for the future. Kalera approached Mara. "You could have simply fought them off and left," she said. "But you stayed, you taught, you guided us. Why?" Mara smiled faintly. "Because strength without purpose is meaningless. Protection is more than defense. It is knowledge, guidance, and courage shared. We fight, we heal, and we teach. That is humanity's way." Kalera nodded, understanding more deeply than ever. Humans were extraordinary not just because of their technology or power, but because of their spirit. They combined intelligence, courage, and compassion in ways that transformed those around them. As night fell, the colony began to recover fully. The Zelthar threat had been neutralized for now, but the humans remained vigilant. Warships patrolled orbit, drones scanned the skies, and ground teams continued their operations, ensuring that the colony would remain safe. Ambassador Rith gathered the Lyrani Council. "We expected medics," he said, voice filled with awe. "We got something far greater. Humans have saved our lives and taught us how to protect ourselves. We will never forget this day. Doctor." Kalera watched as the Lyrani slowly began to rebuild, their confidence restored by human guidance. She realized that humanity's greatest strength was not just their weapons. It was their ability to inspire, teach, and protect, even in the face of overwhelming danger. Lieutenant Myra addressed the colony one last time before departure. "Remember what you have learned. Courage, preparation, and knowledge will protect you. Humanity does not ask for praise. We act because it is right. Use what we have taught you. Protect life, protect each other, and face the future with strength." As the humans prepared to leave Lyris 9, warships slowly ascended from orbit, engines glowing softly. Drones returned to the motherships, leaving behind a colony transformed. The Lyrani watched in awe, their perception of humans forever changed. Dr. Kalera felt a profound sense of gratitude. Humanity had arrived not only with warships, but with a philosophy of courage, preparation, and protection. They had saved lives, taught strategy, and inspired an entire species to rise above fear. As the final human ship disappeared into hyperspace, Kalera looked up at the stars. She understood now that humans were more than warriors, more than medics. They were a force that combined intellect, heart, and courage in ways the galaxy had rarely seen. And Lyris 9 would remember that day forever. They had expected medical aid, and they had received something far greater, the full power and spirit of humanity.